What's going on, Vigilante World? It's your guy Spec Civilian, and we back with another video with some brand new hotness. First things first, I want to give a shout out to all my viewers, subscribers, and Patreon supporters for making this a home to catch some content before you make a purchase. In today's video, I'm actually bringing you another episode of 75 Live. In today's episode, we'll be actually diving into the brand new, long-awaited CZ Shadow 2 Compact. So as you guys know, the CZ75 P01 is my favorite carry gun of all time, at least when I made the videos before, or at least up until I got this gun, because so far this thing has been a dream. For a gun that nobody really expected like that, I think it will make a crazy splash in the firearms community, and I honestly think it will be pretty impactful for a compact gun that has the performance that I've seen from this pistol. So let's dive into what you get straight out of the box from the CZ Shadow 2 Compact. Let's get into it. Alright, Vigilante World, straight into this new hotness right here. Good old traditional CZ box with the gold latches. You know you gotta love it. As usual, pop those latches. Bam! Look at that beautiful thing right there. Jesus. Straight out of the box, and honestly, as a design, it is truly a beautiful gun. We're gonna go over a bunch of really cool design features and stuff like that as we kind of like dive into the review and stuff. Gotta do a safety check real quick. So safe. Alrighty. Now, right out of the box, you do get all of your usual kind of utensils and stuff like that, your lock, all of your cleaning stuff, and of course your manual, all that good stuff. A bunch of little cool little Allen wrenches and stuff, I guess pretty much for your grips and all that cool stuff, and for that optic plate. You do get 2 mags, and they're these new kind of like CZ Metgar type mags. They're not the blue Metgar like follower mags, but they have these cool like CZ black followers that essentially are just a Metgar design. You can tell by the followers which one that you will have. Regardless, they're both 15 rounds, so 2 15-round magazines is what it's gonna come with. Definitely wish it could have maybe come with 3, but 2 15-round mags for the price. Could have possibly come with 3, but I'm not mad about it. Definitely still happy to at least be able to have a backup magazine since this is more of a carry style gun with it being compact. Now for all the other cool features and stuff, we're gonna dive right into it as I usually do. Straight from the top, we have these really cool fiber optic sighting setup, just like the original Shadow 2, with it being the compact version, but it still has a really cool essence of all the other CZs. I'll definitely dive into being able to have those sights just to be able to make it consistent. Something that you definitely feel like is home if you're used to a Shadow or something like that is really cool. Got that red fiber optic front with the black serrated rear that has the adjustable windage, which is very, very, very dope. And of course, one thing that is really, really beneficial about this pistol in general is being able to have an optic mount already on the gun. This thing is optic ready straight out of the box, which is one thing that I definitely love from a compact gun like this, from an amazing gun like this, that you automatically get this right out of the box. Now I do wish you could have gotten the actual like optic plate with it, or at least some type of optic plate from CZ, but you do have to order it and make sure you get it sent to yourself. They do have a couple places that have optic plates and stuff like that. Just have to go online, definitely make sure they have them in stock, and definitely go ahead and get you one. Sometimes you can find some that will allow you to have a co-witness rear sight, and other ones will not have any type of co-witness rear sight, but you might want to take the front sight off or something like that and run it like that. That's how I do my Accu Shadow 2. As long as you have the dot zeroed, it's gonna work. So it's just all how you really kind of want it, very subjective. But for the price of this pistol, I feel like it definitely should have come with some type of optic plates. Guns that are less than $1,000 come with a few optic plates, a few proprietary optic plates. So it's actually just interesting to see that this one didn't come with optic plates. But enough about that. It's really cool that they still do have the front and the back serrations, unlike the original CZ Shadow 2 optic ready. That's the one reason I didn't get the optic ready one, and I opted to go ahead and get the regular Shadow 2 and then customize it and get milled for an optic, because it didn't have the serrations. I at least wanted to have back serrations, so for this thing that already come with back serrations along with the optic plate is absolutely stellar. It's really cool how the serration design is. A lot of people don't really realize like this is a CZ that pays homage to all the other CZs that were its predecessor and like puts it into one. This is kind of a very similar serration design as the CZ P07, or this cut right here and right here is actually very similar in getting to the same front serration. So it's actually really cool. Not only that, at the top you do have those serrations right there that takes you straight to the dot. Don't have to worry about any glare. So it's really cool how they kind of like made this slide very, very, very reminiscent of, you know, traditional CZs that other people love, but also add all the flavor from that CZ Shadow 2. Super cool. I definitely appreciate that part as far as the design, and it looks fucking fantastic. I mean, honestly, the black polycoat that they typically have on these guns are absolutely amazing, and it looks really cool in the light and stuff like that. Kind of looks like a two-tone-ish type of gun. Right out of the box, you're getting something that's going to be 100% beautiful and finished, and not only that, have a really slick design. So thank you, CZ, for that piece. You do get that 4-inch hammer forged barrel, which is really cool, and you do have that traditional CZ barrel bushing right in there. But it's cool the way they kind of updated a lot of the parts with the CZ, because typically, you know, all the other, you know, traditional CZs that you have, you kind of get like that CZ75 recoil spring, which doesn't have this little lip on it right here. And that's one thing that's very interesting about, you know, this one right here. They actually updated it and made it more of a PO7 or, you know, P10 recoil spring, so that it can be kind of up to speed with the new recoil spring design that they do have. So it's actually really cool, again, what they did in paying homage to all the other designs that they had prior to actually having this gun. Again, everybody loves the CZ Shadow 2. It's a fire shooter. I mean, I got one, a million other people have one. But the way that they thought about this, I think, is super amazing, and I definitely, again, appreciate it. Right on down to the accessory rail. One thing that's amazing about this gun, you do get an accessory rail. One thing that for me was kind of interesting, I was actually thinking about getting the Dan Wesson DWX. I had waited for that gun just as long as something like this. The big thing that kind of teetered me back and forth was the accessory rail. I would really have loved that Dan Wesson DWX to have an accessory rail for the original release of it. Definitely, since whenever they did the actual SHOT Show reveals and stuff like that, it had accessory rails and stuff. So it would have been really cool to actually see that. I know they probably have some in the future, but at the end of the day, for the original release, come on now, I definitely think they could have did something just like this, where it was prominent to make an impact on the industry. Really cool there for CZ for actually doing this one just like that, and making this one a big splash here in the firearms world. Now, you do get that really cool squared off trigger guard. That's always going to be super awesome. Nice and big trigger guard. You can wear anything. You can have the biggest hands in the world, and you know for a fact you're going to be able to actually make this work for you. You do have the front serrations right on the trigger guard for anybody who does like to go thumb down, or even have a sense of just kind of where you're at around the trigger guard. So there you have that there. Not only that, you have a really nice undercut here, so you can get really high up in the gun whenever you are getting into your purchase and stuff like that. So it's always really nice to be able to, like, you know, have that nice undercut there, so you can get a good grip on the gun. Know for a fact you can hold and lock that thing down while you're trying to put some shots where they need to be. One thing that's really cool about this gun specifically, as I was kind of like playing with it and kind of testing it out and stuff like that, it's interesting how they kind of updated the trigger and stuff. Whenever I originally had my Shadow 2, first time I ever pulled the double action, it was as smooth as butter. And don't get me wrong, this is a very smooth gun in terms of the trigger, but at the end of the day, it is very different in terms of how it felt between the original Shadow 2 and the Shadow 2 Compact. I can tell they built this one more around, like, you know, kind of duty and safety and stuff like that, because whenever you get to a little bit here in the actual trigger pull, it'll stack a bit, get to the wall, and then break. And so that's one thing for me that was actually kind of interesting. Whenever I was originally kind of testing out the trigger, I thought it was going to have that same kind of glide whenever you do slap through the trigger, but no, it stacks just a bit. Now, don't get me wrong, it's nothing that feels like a Glock or nothing like that, nothing close to that, but it is different from what I was expecting from the original Shadow 2. So if you do have original Shadow 2 and you're expecting it to be exactly the same, it's not going to be. It's going to be more tuned for, you know, duty, combat, or some type of carry use, which makes sense because, again, it's a compact gun. I think one thing is to appreciate is that they did update that. Not only that, along with the actual single action, typically, you know, you get a little bit more slack than this before getting to the wall. I mean, you're right at the wall, right here, and then it's just bang. It's actually pretty amazing what they did for this actual trigger. Now, before, whenever I typically dealt with like most of the other CZ Shadows or something like that, it has, or it feels like more of a rolling break. This actually gets you to that definitive wall to where you feel like it's just a single action 2011 almost. Now, of course, you don't have that same straight back pull, but once you get to that wall, it's just like, you know, crispy break. I mean, that's one thing that, again, is a little bit different. Typically on my other Shadow 2, Whenever I get to that wall, it's a little bit, it's clean, it's a clean break, but it's still a little bit more smooth. And that's one thing that's a little bit different about this gun here. You do feel like it is updated. Of course, in time, this thing is gonna, you know, loosen up, get broken in and all that good stuff. So it will get a little bit smoother, but it's not gonna be anything close to, I think, the original Shadow 2. But I appreciate the updates because at the end of the day, I like the fact that it's a difference in how you need to shoot this gun, and just paying attention to how you need to train with this firearm specifically. As far as poundage goes and stuff like that, 3.5 pounds, maybe 4 pounds, and then with the single action. The double action probably is going to be about, I would say, you know, 7 to 8 pounds or so. Not too bad, but it is, like I said, it's smooth until you get to the actual wall where it stacks, and then you kind of have to really give it a little bit more pressure before you really get to that break on the double action. And then when you get to that single action, it is a super crispy wall. It is just going to be a little bit different, again, if you're expecting something smoother like the original Shadow 2. Down onto the grips, we definitely have that amazing aluminum grip, which is super clean, again, reminiscent of the original Shadow 2, which is, I love what they did. They have this cool like Futura silver type look going on. That's really cool. I mess with it, but also I like how they gave you like a mini extended you know, mag release on there that does also have the aluminum. So one thing that's really kind of cool, people don't got to invest extra stuff in just, you know, a little bit of flavor. It's already coming with the gun because they know this thing is going to be super beautiful. The fact that they gave you some type of checkering in the back and checkering in the front is ridiculous. I love it. And the fact that it's not over aggressive, it's less aggressive than the Shadow 2, but more aggressive than, say, like the traditional SP01, or of course the P01, but the SP01, which only had maybe like a square of this. You see what I'm saying? So that's one thing that is really cool. They really did think about that and making sure that people could get a grip on this gun with it being compact. Also, again, with it being something that has a bunch of flavor and a bunch of like reminiscence of other guns. The original P01 has, of course, the serrations that are very similar to this, but they added the checkering instead of just the serrations. So again, another like homage to the P01, which P01 is my favorite gun. That is my favorite CZ of all time. So for them to like release something like this, it literally just blows me out of the water. And the fact that they, again, thought about the design in fair detail like this is something that I definitely can appreciate. I'm definitely being a CZ fanboy right now, but I know for a fact people who know the CZ Shadow 2 and know other CZs will definitely appreciate exactly what I'm talking about. This one is safety only, which is really cool. You know, right now 2011s are super trendy. Carrying something cocked and locked, something that people are getting used to, so super cool that they did that. One thing that I will say though is that I wish that they would add, or they would have added, the CZ Shadow 2 orange safety on here instead of this one. Now again, I understand this is a compact gun, it's a carry model, so you don't want it to be, you know, like anything that's kind of like poking or anything like that. I would say if you want to be able to like truly function this, I feel like for most people, I feel like that would have been a better option. Now, of course, you get used to it because the serrations on the safety is something that does kind of help be able to actually help you use the safety. It is a, you know, double-sided safety or ambi safety, so that's one thing that is really cool. You do get an ambi for all my lefties out there. I believe you can swap this out to the other side. So again, for the lefties, if you do know how to deal with CZs, you should be able to actually get that done. It does come with that super nice skeletonized hammer, just that traditional CZ Shadow 2 skeletonized hammer. Not only that, the beaver tail that this thing has on here is perfect for like a carry model. They did think about this gun really, really well in terms of being able to have something that was going to be a small version of the Shadow 2 and truly be able to carry it and really kind of like pay homage to all the other CZs that they've made and put it into one gun. And that's truly how I feel about this bad boy. So we're going to put this bad boy down. We're going to get off the map. We're going to talk about it.
Back to it. So as you've seen, there is a lot that comes with this gun, and it's something to be appreciated from CZ, coming through with some super fire aesthetics, starting you off right with those nice reminiscent Shadow 2 grips, aesthetically pleasing enough to make you want to just buy it off the looks. As you know, the ergonomics on CZs are literally second to none, and I know for a fact if you pick up any CZ from a P01 all the way to the Shadow 2 Compact, you're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, one thing I definitely want to mention again is the updates on that trigger, man. The fact that they were able to take that single action trigger and truly update it and tune it to where you can get so crispy of a wall, so much less take up on the actual trigger pull is one thing that I definitely can appreciate. But like, this thing is like super dialed. Of course, you guys know there's no ammo in this thing, but again, when you're talking about that single action, you see, bam, and then right there, right at the wall, boom. So super nice, super slick. And so I cannot complain about that. There is a tad bit more take up on the actual Shadow 2, and it's just noticeable. So that's one thing I do want to mention to anybody who is thinking about getting this gun. That single action is going to be so much more crispy, but the double action is not going to be as smooth, mainly because it is a self-defense gun, and so I understand why they want it to be a little bit heavier. Definitely for that original self-defense pull, you don't want to just accidentally discharge the gun, so totally makes sense to me. And again, one thing that I can't appreciate in thoughts of designing this gun. Now, this thing performs absolutely amazing. I mean, literally, if you're within self-defense distance, if you're long distance, it really doesn't matter. Wherever you point the gun, it's pretty much going to hit. What's really cool, it is a point of aim, point of impact type of pistol. It's literally straightforward. Put the dot on the target, you're going to hit. Because like I said, it's point of aim, point of impact. And even when I shot the first 10 rounds, it was perfect. It's gonna run right out of the box regardless of what you do to the actual gun. It was cool. I actually had a person in the stall next to me who ended up seeing the firearm and was like,
"Hey, is that the Shadow 2? Ah, that's really cool."
"Yes, sir." And I was like,
I mean, these are my first shots right now, so like, I like it so far. I mean, that was a solid first group. You know?
Is that the compact? Or
Yeah,
the...
that's the compact.
Nah, it's so cool. That's the first I've seen of it.
Yes, sir. You wanna try it out?
I'd love to.
he was able to actually get some rounds in himself, and he said it himself.
That's bonkers. That's got a great trigger.
It is an amazing firearm. And what's funny is he actually had a CZ-P01. So again, anybody who has a P01 or knows about the CZ Shadow 2 will see exactly what I'm talking about in the reminiscence of the guns and how you can definitely have that consistent kind of feel for the gun. Because when you put the gun in your hand, it's gonna feel like home. But when you really start shooting and see how it performs, it is next level. I was able to actually do some long range runs, push the target back to about 60 yards or so, and actually be able to get about 70% of the shots on the actual target at 60 yards. Again, first try, first 10 rounds at 60. So I can't complain. That's the one thing that's different about you know, shooting still and shooting paper and stuff like that. Whenever you are shooting at a distance and you're shooting still, you can kind of hear it. It can ring out, and you know for a fact you're hitting, and you can kind of make your adjustments from there. When you are shooting paper, it's really just kind of a leap of faith because you have to know for a fact you're really just kind of hitting. But that again is one thing that I think is really cool about this gun. I was comfortable enough to literally just put 7 hits on target and only miss 3, and I'm not upset about that at all. I think being able to know for a fact I can just comfortably aim the gun downrange at 60 yards and still be able to have a 70% chance of hitting is pretty solid right out of the box. And again, for something that that you're paying a little over $1,000 for, is something that I can appreciate in a gun like this. Not only that though, this gun is super fast. I'm talking about fast. This gun does the damn thing. I mean, it races. Like, I think one thing that's really wild about this gun is whether you're doing double taps, getting some really cool rounds off, this thing will run. Like, and the thing is, the recoil impulse is crazy. You don't even kind of feel the recoil. It's so crazy how you can control the gun. Between the ergonomics, between the weight, the balance of the gun, it is wild how you really don't even feel the recoil on this gun. And again, that's another thing I can just appreciate about the firearm. Typically, whenever you get compact firearms, they start to get snappy and stuff like that. This one's not even like that at all. This one, you can literally just let them go. I'm talking about let 10 rounds, 15 rounds. It really does not matter. Let those things go. Double tap, triple tap if you like, mag dump. I mean, truly, you don't feel any crazy like recoil impulse. Not only that, your shots are still on target. I literally did a rapid fire just mag dump just because, you know, it's a brand new gun. You gotta have some fun with the gun. Come on, man. And so I had to do a mag dump just to see how the recoil impulse felt. And lo and behold, all my shots were right on target. It was crazy. I didn't even really try. I was really just aiming at the target, of course, but I was really just kind of letting the trigger go. And again, it was right on target. Just knowing for a fact I can point the gun right at the target, shoot as many rounds as I need to, and it will hit. So again, performance on this gun is, for me, second to none. I absolutely love the CZ Shadow 2 Compact. As the Shadow 2 took over the SPO1 Shadow and all the other predecessors that it had. I truly think this is going to do the same thing and kind of being the highlight gun for performance from CZ. That is going to be a compact model. I mean, CZ already makes some amazing compact guns as it is. This one here is honestly going to be something that is going to change the game, and I truly think something that people and everyone will appreciate in time. Now, the MSRP for the gun is $1,250, so not bad at all. Still being able to get the gun for a little bit over $1,000. But like I said, if you're gonna have a gun that's gonna be a little over $1,000, it's a couple things that I would probably include in the entire package just to give the buyer or the owner that experience in purchasing and owning that original CZ Shadow 2 compact. And again, this gun's beautiful, so I think with those couple things, it can really make a difference. So if you did like this video, make sure you smash that like button. If you have any comments or anything like that, make sure to drop them right down below. I'd like to hear what y'all think about the CZ Shadow 2 compact, and maybe even something to compare it with. I know I actually have some ideas, but I definitely want to hear from you guys because this is a super cool gun, and like I said, it's some new hotness that I think everybody should really kind of feast their eyes on and truly understand what's going on with the design. Definitely make sure y'all subscribe. Got more content coming for y'all here soon. This pistol was something to wait for, and I think something that I think everyone will appreciate in the firearms industry, definitely here in the vigilante world, where we talk about CZs and we do a bunch of really cool customizing. Other than that, definitely hope everybody's doing well. And as you know, stay safe, get some ammo. Until next time, y'all.
Like shooting CZs?
Yes, sir. I'm crazy about them.
I've got my one over here. I love it.
Which one?
What?
You said you got which one?
I got a VO1 over here.